Welcome to the Explainer. Okay, today we're tackling something that sounds, well, kind of massive. We're taking some seriously dense management theory and turning it into a real, practical guide for organizational excellence. We're going to break down exactly how the world's most successful companies make sure their biggest, boldest ideas actually happen down on the ground floor.
I mean, you've probably wondered at some point, why does that brilliant 5-year plan drawn up in the boardroom rarely make a dent in your actual day-to-day work? It's literally a universal pain point in modern business. Corporate goals are way up here, daily operations are way down there, and there's just a total disconnect. So today, we're introducing the foundational fix to this exact problem. It's called policy deployment.
Okay, let's dive into this. Here's our roadmap. First, demystifying policy deployment. Next, busting common Hoshin myths. Then, the core deployment process. After that, catchball and the PDCA cycle. And finally, upgrading to CRISP. Starting right off with Section 1, demystifying policy deployment. So this concept actually comes from post-war Japanese manufacturing giants, companies like Fuji Xerox, who really needed a disciplined way to align these massive, sprawling organizations. The original Japanese term is Hoshin Kanri. If we break that down, Hoshin literally translates to a compass, a course, or a pointing direction. And Kanri means management control. Put them together and you get management control of the company's focus. Honestly, I really want you to lean into that visual metaphor of a compass. Just imagine an entire organization, thousands of people, and every single one of them is holding a compass pointing true north. It means the target you want to hit and the actual steps you take to hit it are completely locked together. Moving to Section 2, busting common Hoshin myths. Now, before we get into the exact mechanics of how to build this compass, we really need to clear away the corporate jargon. There's this huge misconception that policy deployment is just, another word for executive strategic planning, something only the C-suite worries about behind closed doors. But that is a complete myth. The reality is way more collaborative. It's an active, living system of forms and rules that requires employees at every single level to analyze their situations, build their own improvement plans, run checks, and take action. It's this positive, company-wide engine for continuous improvement, not just some top-down mandate. And let's be super clear about this. Policy deployment is absolutely not a magic wand for bad leadership. It's not an excuse to just nod, smile, and pay lip service to employee feedback without actually doing anything about it. It's also not empowerment in that chaotic sense where people get decision-making power without any real direction or boundaries. And honestly, most importantly, it's not a free pass for managers to delegate away their accountability. Managers are still, at the end of the day, fundamentally responsible for the results. All right, Section 3, the core deployment process. So how does a grand, sweeping vision actually become a tangible reality on the front lines? Well, it all starts with a broad, challenging 5 to 10-year vision. From there, you narrow it down to 3 to 5-year midterm objectives. Then we hit the really crucial level, the annual plan. This 1-year plan zeroes in on a maximum of 3 to 8 highly focused, measurable targets. That annual plan is then deployed down to individual departments, executed by specific teams, and, this is key, subjected to rigorous, regular progress reviews. Now, what's really interesting here is seeing this exact process in the real world. This is the policy management system from Total Limited, which is a world-class Japanese manufacturer. If you follow the flow of those arrows, you can actually see the complex, cyclic reality of how the president's policies literally cascade down through division managers, right down to the section managers and the actual daily operations. It's definitely not a straight line, right? It's a highly structured network of continuous feedback. Which brings us to Section 4. Catchball and the PDCI cycle. To keep that massive network of arrows flowing smoothly, we rely on 2 critical engines. The first one is a concept called catchball. You can think of this as a literal game of catch. Leadership throws an idea or a target down to the next level of management. But instead of just, catching it and silently marching off to do it, that level actually reviews it. They modify it based on their on-the-ground reality, and then they throw it back up. It's a true give-and-take negotiation. Through this bottom-up feedback, targets get refined. Actually, sometimes a specific department might even have to forsake their own local optimization for the good of the whole company. But because they were actively part of the negotiation, it fosters this deep commitment and full ownership of the final plan. And this brilliantly illustrates the second engine, the PDCA cycle. Plan, do, check, act. Notice that check phase in the cycle? That is the secret sauce.
while plan and do are super common in business, the check phase emphasizes self-diagnosis. Teams don't just execute blindly, they regularly pause to check their progress against the original policy, diagnose any gaps, and then act to course correct. It essentially guarantees continuous improvement and keeps the team from drifting way off target.
Let's move to Section 5, upgrading to CRISP.
Okay, so in theory, catchball and PDCA are absolutely brilliant, but in practice, standard catchball can totally still fail. Why? Because of the infamous sponge effect. This is where crucial feedback from frontline employees gets entirely absorbed and basically hidden by middle management before it ever reaches the top. Or, if middle managers lack leadership skills, they can turn catchball into a massive game of just passing the buck down the line without adding any actual value. And once employees stop seeing their feedback make a difference, the whole deployment fails.
To fix this, researchers developed an upgraded framework with a really memorable mnemonic, CRISP, C-R-I-S-P. It stands for catch, reflect, improve, scrutinize, and pass. You catch the policy, you reflect on it with your team, you actively improve upon it, and then comes the absolutely crucial new addition, scrutinize. Before you pass anything along, the work has to be actively scrutinized by the previous level to make sure it aligns perfectly with the original intent.
Now, adding an official scrutiny phase might sound a little bureaucratic at first, but the crucial point is that it's actually a brisk, decisive way to ensure total alignment. It forces managers to demonstrate real leadership before passing ideas along. It closes the loop, completely killing off that passing the buck mentality. Plus, it verifies that employees actually understand the objectives in the first place, and it instantly highlights any managers who might need a bit of extra training in communication. It literally guarantees everyone is pulling together as one single team.
Check out the CRISP framework in action here. If you look at the structure moving down from the corporation to the division to the function to the team and finally right down to the individual, at every single transitional gap, that CRISP cycle is happening. The policy isn't just dropping from the sky. It's being caught, reflected on, improved, scrutinized, and passed. This incredibly tight loop is exactly how a broad, somewhat abstract 5-year corporate vision successfully transforms into the very specific daily to-do list for an individual employee.
To bring this all together, I want to leave you with this phenomenal summary quote from the source material. Hashing Conry, or policy deployment, is simply PDCA applied to the planning and execution of a few critical strategic organizational objectives. I mean, that basically drops the mic on the whole concept, doesn't it? It's not abstract corporate magic. It's a rigorous, achievable, totally process-driven discipline.
So as we wrap up this explainer, I want to leave you with a question, just something to chew on. Look at your own organization right now. Is your team's daily work truly aligned by a corporate compass? Or are your grand strategies getting completely lost in translation somewhere in the middle? By applying Catchball, PDCA, and that upgraded CRISP framework, you actually have the power to ensure your vision becomes reality. Thanks for joining me on the explainer today, and keep learning.